So this week I'm going to be showing you how to mimic prime lenses. So a lot of you have been doing some beautiful wildlife shots, and not always do you have access to prime lenses which give you that lovely shallow depth of field, really blow out the background. So I'm going to be showing you how to mimic that within Photoshop. Now, to be fair, this particular image was shot on a 70-200, so it's got some good blur behind it. And now, to be fair, I couldn't really find an image that didn't have a lot of blur, so I'm going with this one. And you're going to see the difference in the steps that I show you. So hopefully, you know, if you've got a couple of images and the background's not as blurred as what you would like it, then you can follow these steps and it will help improve. Okay, right, so the first thing we're going to do then within Photoshop is make sure we can see our layers and history panels. If you can't see them, just come up to Window and then come down, and you can see you've got history there and you've got layers here. Okay, so you can click on that and it will bring up this panel here that we've got. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is duplicate the background. There's a couple of ways you can do that: Command or Control J, or you can right click and select duplicate layer and then just hit OK. So what we need to do is we need to select the bird and the branch. All right, so there's a couple of ways we can do that. If you come up to the tools here, if you click, you've got Object Selection Tool, Quick Selection Tool, and there's a few other ways you can do this as well. You can use the pen tool, which is a little bit more complex, and you can look at that tutorial. It's on the blog if you want to get it precise, but I'm just going to keep this easy and let Photoshop do a lot of the heavy lifting for us. So the first thing we're going to do is click on Select Subject. So Photoshop is going to it's done a pretty good job actually. It's select the subject for us, everything that we wanted, so it's done a pretty good job. The next stage is select a mask, so click on that. That brings you into the masking area, so we can make adjustments here, and you know, add bits in, take bits out. We can do that with this brush here, so we can come around the edges and just get a little bit more of the edges in if we want to. I'm going to skip this part because you would literally just go with that brush. Okay, and we can also make a few changes later on anyway. So what I'm going to do is on this, I'm going to click on Smart Radius. That helps with the selection. You can move these around as well. You can move and feather it so you can make it a softer selection. I'll leave that up to you. Okay, I'm going to click on Decontaminate Colors as well. That's always a good idea because it stops any colors that are reflecting off the subject. And then the output, we want new layer with layer mask, and then we just hit OK. So we've literally just done a couple of steps there. So if we come up to our layers, you can see we've got all these now. If we click on the eye, that will get rid of the background layer, and there's our selection. Okay, so we've basically cut it out, and that's what we want. So we get rid of the eye, we can't see anything. Now if we go to the copy background that we had, click on the eye, you can see we've got the bird there. What we need to do now is actually get rid of this. So come up to the lasso tool up here. Okay, now you can do this in stages, but I'm going to do it all in one go because I'm a bit of a rebel and it will save a lot of time as well. So all you would do is select the area, and like I said, you can do it in stages. Okay, so we've made a selection there, and then come up to Edit, and then come up to, oh sorry, right, okay, so I'm on the selection there, the mask, not the background layer. I need to be on the background layer there, and then come to Edit, there we go, and go to Fill, and then Content Aware, press OK, and what that's going to do is fill in the area for us. So then you can press Control or Command D to deselect that, and it's done a pretty good job. Okay, now if we click on this here, bring our selection back, we can see there's the bird coming back, so that's the cutout. Okay, now what we're going to do on the background is we're going to blur this. So we're going to go to Filter, we're going to go to Blur, and then we're going to go to Lens Blur, and this is what's going to mimic that prime lens. You've got lots of different options here. You've got different shapes of how the aperture would look. Make sure the radius is up to 99. Always add a little bit of noise, just to it helps it just to blend a little bit better. But you can have a play around with some of these and see what you get, but that's pretty much all you need to do. Press OK, and now that has given us a really good blurred background. Okay, and then again, let's click on the eye and bring the bird back, and you can see there what's happened is that it's completely blown that background out, hasn't it? So if we take that away, we can see that's what it was before and that's what it is now. So there's a big difference there, isn't there? Okay, so let's go back up to our mask here, and if we go over to the brush tool, select the brush tool, and we've got black and white. So if we click on the black, that is going to fill in areas, and the white will mask out areas. So you can also come up to the top here, make sure the hardness is at 0, bring the opacity down so it's sort of 40%, flow around the same. And then if we zoom in and go to these areas that we missed in that selection, and obviously you might not have this problem because you taking your time to do it. We can just now, using the black, we can paint this in. So what we're doing is we're painting in the background that we just blurred out a minute ago. Okay, and you can take your time with it, and because we've got that hardness low and we've got that opacity and flow really low, we're going to get a really nice blend. Okay, so it might take you a little while just to get this right, but it's better to keep going over the same area, just to blend it in rather than doing one great big edit, because it will just look, it would be too much of a hard blend. Okay, so you can see there it's fairly simple to do. You can be quite liberal with it. Just paint that. That's it. Okay, so you get the idea. Right, so I'm just going to speed this up a little bit. There we go. And let's just push this up just for the tutorial's sake. Okay. There. And if you make a mistake, then you can just go to white and then just paint it back, and it will bring it through like there. Okay, so you can go around all the different areas and do that, just really refine all these edges, and that's how you're going to get a really good selection. So like here, we could bring that back just by painting the white. There we go. Go to the black, and let's just blur that background out. Now obviously my brush is way too hard at the minute, and like I said, you can take your time and just drop that opacity and just blend it a little bit better. And it's worth just taking your time, just going around and getting everything how you want it. And it's just a case of using black and white. That's all it is, as long as you're on that selection and that mask. Okay, so say we've done that, say we're happy with that. That's going to give you that shallow depth of field look, and that does really mimic them prime lenses. So like you say, you can, if we take that background away, you can see that it's worked really well and it's blurred out that background, and that's what you'd get at f2.8. So it's giving you a real nice shallow depth of field there. Now another step you can do, and this is a step, it's really simple to do, but it's going to kind of, I think it will reveal how a lot of people are doing these kind of images when you think, how do they do this? So this is the first stage, blurring that background. So we come to the background copy, right click, and let's duplicate that layer again. Press OK. So there it is, number 3. If we go to, again using the brush tool, make sure the hardness is at 0, and let's bring the flow down and the opacity down so it's nice and soft. Click on the color here. Okay, let's pick we could go for a warm orange look, maybe something like that, and then make the brush bigger. You can use that by pressing the brackets keys, or you can come up to here and change the size that way. It's just easier to use the bracket keys, I think, on your keyboard. So they're the ones that are next to the enter key. Okay, so let's make it quite big, and then it's just click, click, and maybe there, and there. Okay, and then let's come down to the color, and let's maybe choose, let's go with a, oh, let's go with a, should we go with a green? I don't like green. As a color, I hate green. Let's go with a green, but I think that will work actually quite nice. A little bit of green there. There we go. So we've just added a little bit of color to that now. Okay, and then what we can do is come up to the opacity and just drop that ever so slightly so that we get more of a natural looking adjustment, so it's not in your face, because always, you know, less is always more. And push that up to about 90, something like that. That looks quite cool. Yeah, and that's it. That will give you your finished article. So if you come to your history, come down to the camera, click on that, you can then see the before. So that's the before. Like I said, it was a, you know, quite a blurred background as it is, but doing these steps has just really knocked that background out completely. And we've added a little bit of color on there just to liven it up a little bit. And like I say, you've probably seen a lot of stuff like this around, where it's kind of looking like this. It's quite a common technique that everybody's doing at the minute. So after that, you can, you know, obviously you can make more adjustments if you want to, for whatever you want to do. But you can also just come to layer. You can merge visible or flatten image. Merge visible just puts them together. And then you could bring this then into Lightroom if you wanted to, and that would then enable you to make further adjustments. So I'm just going to click File, Save As, and I'm just going to click on my desktop, just say OK, and then open up Lightroom. And I could have done this before. I could have gone from Lightroom and opened it up into Photoshop. But I didn't. I've just done it the complete wrong way around. But if you start within Lightroom, you can just open it up in there. And yeah, this step then you can use this now to just to fine tune the image now. So you know, you can also just really work on these shades here. You can work on the texture a little bit, maybe push that up a little bit. And the clarity as well, and you'll see what that does. It's going to soften the image or bring it out, and we can use the dehaze as well if we want a softer look. You can bring the saturation up, the vibrance up, or bring that down. Okay, so the choice is yours. Maybe add a little bit of medium contrast to it, and then just let's have a look. Just bring that up there. There we go. So yeah, if we press the Y key, we're going to get the before and after. So this was what it was like in Photoshop, and then just making these small adjustments here in Lightroom, you can see it's well worth doing that because it just makes it pop a little bit. And we could make a global adjustment with the color temperature if you wanted to, just to warm it up a little bit more. I think that gives you a really nice end result. So that's how you do it. That is how you mimic the prime lenses. Okay, so if you're doing any wildlife stuff, you can try that out for yourself, and I look forward to seeing your images. See you soon.